actually just looking at setting up my AI companion tutorial, and I was looking at my terrain. I'm like, I should probably do something with it. It needs to look a little better. So I started playing around with it, and I thought, you know what? I wonder if you guys might like something like that, right? Because it's, like, I really actually haven't done much yet to it, right? That's kind of how it looks, other than I turned on the fog. But right now, if I hit play, it does a day and night little cycle, right? Off goes the sun. You see the lights kind of fade. It does its thing. And it's dark right now. I have to do some stuff with the fog, but that's where I stopped and decided maybe you guys might want to see that. So I thought, for what I've done to it, anyways, it's quite simple. Is in our spawn manager, we have that is day and is night that changes the spawn. So I'm just going to run a quick bool there saying, okay, we're nighttime, so be night. And this one I was going to do rotate around, which is on the ecosystem, I think, and I don't have. So I started making it, and then I thought, well, if I don't have it and the ecosystem's down, you guys might want it. So I thought I'd show you how I built that. It's a little different than just the normal rotate. And it's simple. It's simple, right? So I literally just made a couple variables. The FSM owner default, so you can rotate whatever object you want. The axis to which we're going to rotate it on, right? And then speed on how fast we want to rotate it. And all it is we take this object, his transform, and we do this command called dot rotate around. That's literally the name of the command inside Unity. And then that says, okay, well, what do we want to rotate around? So we say, okay, we want this object, his transform position. So we want whatever position he is. It wants an axis, so we're going to choose this axis value. And then it wants a speed, so I do speed times time dot delta time. And that just kind of helps keep numbers within a nice range. But that's literally the entire line of code. That's all it is. That one little line of code. And that gives you this. So I can rotate this object. I'm doing it on the Z axis at that speed. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm going to get its forward direction, whichever way it's facing, and I'm going to do a vector 3 operator. I'm going to do the operation of a dot product. I want its forward direction to up vector, right? Just one on the Y. And that stores a float called dot. Now what that does, dot takes two vectors and kind of compares them, and it gives you a -1 to 1. So as you see, as the sun is going over, okay, it flopped over, it's getting dark, so it's now close to 1. So now that it's hit 1, which more or less means up and forward are the same. And now as it comes down, it's now perpendicular. Okay, now it's turned to daytime. We do the same thing over here, and as it goes to -1, that's actually noon. So it's the exact opposite, and then it starts going backwards. So that's kind of how the dot works. So that's all I'm doing, is I'm doing the forward versus up, or you can do down. It would just reverse this number. That's all it would do. So then I just turn around and be like, okay, if the dot is greater than 0, we're day. No, technically it's night. Oh, no, it is day because we're over on this FSM. All right, and this FSM, so both these things are literally exactly the same. The only difference is this one is if we're less than 0, we're going to night. And it has is day set to false. This one is day set to true. And if we're greater than 0, we're going to day. So it just literally just flops back and forth. And it takes that bool with it. And that's all that system does. So to add a little bit of spice, because heaven forbid we do anything normal, I made another FSM. I haven't named this FSM yet, and I get that same dot every frame, and I made a sample curve, and I made it look somewhat kind of like this. It's not the straightest thing in the world, but it sits at 1, and then it comes down, it sits low, and it sits really low, and this will kind of end up doing a ping pong effect. But anyways, and I changed these scales. Like if you click on it, hit enter, you can change its time and its values. So this is actually -1. This is 1. Happens to be just the same range as the dot value, -1 to 1, -1 to 1. And like I said in the dot thing, when we're at -1, it's noon. And when we're at 1, it's midnight. So at noon is when it's absolute highest, right? So as the sun's rotating up, that dot value drags this thing upwards, and then the dot value starts coming back down. And then it comes to a sharper peak over a period of time, and it sits low. And this is at midnight. And I built that curve like that because then I can set the intensity of the light. Right? So now you can see the light intensity is following along with the sun. So as the sun goes down, that intensity drops off sharply, and then it sits fairly low, slowly kind of getting darker and darker. Once it hits midnight, it peaks out at how dark it gets, and then it starts slowly coming back, and then it starts doing a drastic increases the intensity, and then it slowly comes up even higher. And I could probably even take that even higher, right? Like I could go in here and say, you know what? At noon, we don't want a 1, we want a 1.2. You know, but if that's the case, I should take this guy up to say 1.1, because you want a relatively flat curve. It's not like light during the day really intensifies that much, right? Like you want this to be relatively drastic, but you want this to be somewhat smooth. Right, so now our light will go a little higher. But I thought, well, I want to do the same thing with the fog. I want to bring the fog in at nighttime, and I want to push it out during daytime. And I'm going to use the same method, the sample curve. But I don't have a set fog. So I was going to make one of those, and that's when I decided to stop. So I'm going to give it a name, something that's, you know, appropriate. I'll probably put it under render settings, because that's technically what it's under in Unity. It's a render settings thing. So that gives us our script. Right now I have fog density. That's not the same though. That's not what I want. I want to do the distance. I personally I tend to like keeping the distance at a linear. Just a personal preference. If I was going like photorealistic, I wouldn't. But game wise, I think linear's nice. So we need a public FSM float, and that's going to be end distance. And then public override update And we just want to do render settings dot, we should have a end fog end distance equals end distance dot value. No. Done. And if you want to do the close distance, you can add that in here as well and just put another float there and do another line here. Only it wouldn't be fog end distance, it would be fog start distance. But that's it. So pretty simple action, right? Like nothing to it. One little line of code. And now we're going to copy the sample curve just so I have a thing. I'm going to store it into a variable called f and set fog or what did I call it? Fog distance. Set fog distance. Now I didn't put the every frame or anything on that. I probably could have done that to make it fancy, but whatever. It has every frame. That's the way I built it. It doesn't have this tick though. So it's going to use this as our fog distance now. So how do we want this curve to happen? Well, let's just zoom out a bit, right? Because we know timeline, we're going -1 to 1. So during the day, or actually we'll say, yeah, during the day here, we want the value of our end distance to probably be around 300. Just going to set that way the hell up there. Like way up there. All right, so let's deal with this stuff down here, right? And when we want the end value, oh, that's going to be at a time. I'll make sure that's right at 1. Probably, we'll say 60, right? So our midpoint, I'll take this one. We'll take it up to 75. This one can go 90. And this one we'll say 120. All right, so now we're just going to zoom out. There's probably a faster way to do that. Let's just go back out and come. I mean, it looks super ugly there, but it's okay. So we go 300 during the day. So here's our halfway mark, right? Right there. So we want that fog to be at here, to be starting to push back pretty far. So we're going to want to go, I'm going to go 200. Maybe 250. And I'm going to give that more of a curve like that. And then, so here, which is at what time? So that's just when it happens. So it's just starting to push. And 90 is probably fine there. Here, though, is as it's coming this way downwards. Well, you know what? 75 is okay. But let's push this down. There. That's, I mean, it's not the smoothest graph. And then that's, now we should see our fog out there. And we could also adjust the fog color too if we really wanted to. Seeing how the fog starts to come in pretty viciously. And it comes in as, you know, it's, if you look down in the bottom left there, I mean, it's a little white. It needs to, I think, darken. But as you see, as the sun comes up, that fog starts to break and push back, which is what we want. Right? And I do believe we do have the ability to set fog color. So I want this same curve, paste after, and let's do fog color. Move this down. And you're probably wondering, well, okay, I got a curve. How do I do a color out of that? And this is going to be our fog color. And we are going to set color. I could animate the color. I guess I don't got to go that crazy though. Now where is color? Set color. Set color RGBA. There we go. So we're going to take our fog color that we're going to use, and I am going to set these values to how do we want it? Actually, you know what? We almost don't need that curve. We could almost. I wonder if I should just remap this one. Well, let's look at animate color real quick. I don't think we can tell it. Yeah, see, I can't do that one. All right, so let's do a remap. Let's take our D, which is the dot, and the base start is going to be -1 to 1. That's kind of its range, and then that's going to go what do we want to do? We can do all three of those, because if it's everything 0 paired to everything white, should be like that. I'm pretty sure. So let's go, okay, during the day, which is -1. Let's go let's go 0.9, and on the end let's go, you don't want to go exactly 0, and we'll set that as color. I'll move that down here, and we're going to set this, and this all to color. Make sure I got that going the right way anyways. All right, so it's white-ish. Kind of, yeah, I got it. Well, don't worry about that. I was playing with deer and I got them out. So unpause, keep going. And it's turning grayer, and it comes down, goes into a black. And that's a pretty dark night. And it starts to lighten up. And I could almost sample curve that other than the remap, right? Which might almost be better, just because if you don't have the remap, we'd have to make that too, and that one's not as easy to make. So let's do, we're going to sample at the dot. We're going to store into the color every frame, and the curve we want, we'll just put a default, zoom out. So we want a -1, and that one's already a 1. So here, Athena, turn that down. Turn that down. All right, I'm trying to think here. So -1, so we're during the day, and during the day we want it to be roughly 0.9, and down here we want the value to be 0.2. 0.05. Now we don't want a linear line though. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to take that up to a 0.8. I'm going to just go on this side of that little midpoint and take that to a 0.3. I'll just flatten those out a little bit. There we go. Now we'll sample that line and stick that into the colors, and then stick that color into the fog. So there's our color, our fog color. There we go. A little smoother, a little nicer, blends a little better. You know, kind of gives us that nice little night feel. And then it, you know, starts to slowly lighten up, and then it comes in and it should just kind of kick into that white and push back. All right. So let's leave it like that. That's just to help pretty it up a little bit for these tutorials. And you know, and of course you could also do, I don't even know if I have audio. Do I have audio? Audio source. Let's see if I have any ambient. I have ambience hell. I have night. Birds. Oh, a little creek. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's something. We could add that in too. One of the things I like to do with that, now this part's almost kind of easier to do with, because I'd normally just stick a bunch of audio sources here, because you can access them all. But Playmaker, that part's a little more difficult. So it's a little easier just do audio day, and then we'll do another one called audio night. And then I'm going to take this guy, because I've already put him in, and stick him here. Take it off here, pull it out. And this guy, we'll use night. Alright, so now we have a night. And we want them both to be looping. And I am going to here, nope, not this one, time. So if we're nighttime, we can here just drag this one in, audio play, and I'm not going to give it a clip. And then this one, audio stop, and you know, you can give it a bit of a fade time, I guess. It's not that big of a deal. Copy those, put them over here, but now we need to flip them, right? This one needs to be the audio night. This one needs to be the audio day. The other thing is I'm going to take away this volume control on it. I don't want to control the volume. And I think what I'll do is, in this guy, we can now you know what, we could do another sample curve. We'd almost need two of them though. Sample at our dot value, store as in day audio. So day audio would now be, oops, time -1, and this one's 1. So day audio, we would want the volume to be 1, and over here we want the volume to be 0. And we're going to want that swap. We're going to add a key, and I'm going to put that to, well, now let's go 0.25, and then just go on this side of it, and let's take this up to 0.85. Flatten that curve down a bit. And then once we get to say here, I want the value to go right to 0. Right. So that could be that. And then now we can audio volume, and we want day audio. All right. And we need another sample curve, and this one's going to end up being night audio. And of course, all we really want to do is flip it. I don't know a good way of doing that other than 1, 0, and then this one could be 0. 0.25 is fine. 0.8. Turn some of these around. During the night we get our sound up, but at this midpoint we want it to go relatively quickly. Let's flatten that one down so it is 0. Alright, that's good enough. Doesn't got to be perfect. And then let's set this one to audio night. Here's our deer issue. All right, so now we have the volume on the day. I think that swap is a little fast. No, maybe not. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, you could definitely tweak it a bit, no doubt. There we go. Right, so yeah, I mean, it starts right now with trying to play the nights, and that's just the way it starts. I almost kind of change that. Yeah, it goes into nighttime. Let's maximize that. Oh my God, it's so dark. Gotta put a little campfire or something so we can see at night. Or use a flashlight or something. Gotta fix up those lines. And it goes daytime. Okay. Okay. Just up that. Let's fix those lines a little bit. Darken up the shadows. That's probably pretty good. Alright, so like I said, I'm actually just prepping to do my companion AI. This is going to be the companion, which is also why I was getting errors. There's the AI sitting over here. Our companion's going to be, for now, a little corgi pup. Just like that. So, let's look forward to, I'll put this video out there. Totally unintentional to do one like about this, the environment, but whatever. And expect the companion video soon, apparently. Alright, talk to you later.